Hi everyone, Gabriel here, and I want to share with you some insights I've learned in the last 15 years teaching and supporting yoga teachers. Primarily, some insight I learned just a few years ago when I was at the Iowa City Yoga Festival. I was one of the presenters along with a variety of different people, and I had the pleasure of both teaching and taking part of different classes. What touched me was a video by a guy named Simon Sinek that I'm about to share clips from you. Throughout the video, as I was watching it, I was just flushed with these insights and awareness of why I have been teaching and the way I've been communicating has been different. So let's see what happens. Let me jump right into it and share with you some of the things that I saw in that video.
And this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. The inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out.
Great yoga teachers communicate very differently than most yoga teachers, much like great, inspiring leaders communicate very differently than others. Let's continue to watch.
Simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care?
This applies to a yoga class as you combine communication and behavior when you're trying to guide a group of students. Let's see how Simon presents it in his model.
Here's the best part. None of what I'm telling you is my opinion. It's all grounded in the tenets of biology, not psychology, biology. If you look at a cross-section of the human brain looking from the top down, what you see is the human brain is actually broken into three major components that correlate perfectly with the golden circle. Our newest brain, our Homo sapien brain, our neocortex, corresponds with the what level. The neocortex is responsible for all of our rational and analytical thought and language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains, and our limbic brains are responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior, all decision-making, and it has no capacity for language. In other words, when we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. You know, sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures, and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right. Because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language.
Language and actions are different. They're different in different parts of our brain. Where action originates in the neocortex and where language in the limbic brain. We saw communication from marketing and how to market oneself. And then Simon then looks at the cross-section of the brain to then validate that overly communicating doesn't drive behavior. A yoga teacher wants to drive behavior. I need you to move your body. I need you to do something. That's behavior. And if we look at the idea of the cross-section of the brain, that the limbic brain and the neocortex has language, so they can understand when you say, I'm taking my right leg up, and then I'm bending my knee and opening my hip. And maybe they'll do it. But it doesn't drive behavior. It invites behavior based on thinking, because the limbic brain has no capacity for language. And if it has no capacity to language, and I want to reach the limbic brain, I want to be able to talk to you and make you act. I need to be able to reach through your neocortex that's thinking and using language and touch the limbic brain so that action can happen. So if the limbic brain has no language, then there's no point for me to use a lot of language. Hence, the more simple and the more direct action-based vocabulary you make will bypass the neocortex and hit the limbic brain and drive behavior in the body. That's why when the student is tired and they don't want to do anything in their brain, and suddenly a word like push, now the body will push. Because the limbic brain is driving behavior based on something that's going on. And then the person themselves, they're just surprised.
Really, really interesting approach. Like, I never thought about it like that. I'm like, wow, like there are like so many applications of that idea like everywhere.
Thank you so much for the insightful comments to the Simon Sinek video. I am very much enjoying the fact that you've integrated this into the training, because it is teaching me how to be more efficient communicator in and out of the class. We're going to share more videos, so subscribe below. Go down, slide down, and click on the link. Also, I would love it if you scrolled all the way down and left a comment. I know you probably have some questions and comments on how this information can be applied, so please share them.